Hello, hello, everyone. So welcome back for another career and spirituality conversation. If you don't know me yet, my name is Julie Pone, and I support spiritual seekers having a career experience to reconcile what they do for a living with who they are as a soul. And today, to help me with that mission, I will be talking with Stella Scott. Hi, Stella. How are you today?
Hello, I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah, great. Well, I'm so excited for this conversation. As you'll discover, Stella has such a varied and exciting life and career journey. But we'll get into that after our little grounding. So if you're all ready, for those of you who are in capacity to close their eyes, please do so. I will do it as well. And let's press our feet onto the ground for just a moment first, in order to feel our connection to the earth right now, and having the intention to ground ourselves, and then bringing our attention back into our chest, the middle of our chest, and into the heart. Maybe you can hear your heart, or maybe you can feel your heart. Maybe you want to put a hand over your heart. And once you've connected with that place in yourself, let's take a couple of deep, slow breaths. And I'll count about 5 breaths for us. So there we are. Deep, slow breathing. Five deep breaths. And so whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes again. And ta-da!
Ta-da!
Welcome back. Welcome back, Stella. Stella, I'm so happy to have you. And what I just want to say before I hand the mic to you is that you have such a varied career journey, that you've been a Gestalt therapist, a coach, a public speaker, you've been an online marketer, opera singer, my God, college professor, and now an astrologer. And I'm especially excited about the last part, but all the rest as well. And astrology rings to me as maybe the closest from maybe our topic of spirituality, but that's where I'm going to start actually with you. Is like, what's actually your relationship to spirituality, or what does it mean to you, and how did you come to that point on your spiritual journey?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
But since I have listened to a few of your previous episodes, I knew it was coming. So I thought, okay, I better write down some stuff because it's so big. So I felt like I have to write down something so I actually remember some things I feel are important when it comes to my own journey. I would say it started very, very early in my life. As a child, I lived in Italy, and I went to nunnery school.
So to what school?
Nunnery.
Oh,
they were nuns. The teachers were nuns.
yes, get it. Yeah.
And so there were some things there that for me were like really weird. One was that the nuns were married to Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they were supposed to be in celibacy, but they were married to Jesus, and they all had this ring with the cross. And him, yeah, I mean, different kinds of societies, and so they had that.
Yeah.
So they were all married, and I thought that was really weird. How can you really be in celibacy and you're a nun and you're married to Jesus? And not only that, because you have this cross where he was hanging.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very weird that your father would hang you on the cross out of love. Yeah. So already there, my little very intense 8-year-old brain, or that's 6, I don't know, yeah, it's there somewhere, was like, this is, yeah, I was 6. This is like, what? I don't understand. What I also didn't understand was, how could Jesus as a child be so much more valuable? Because that's what they said. He was the most valuable child ever. So he had more value than us. So that's really, so I started early. Yeah, let's just put it that way, to contemplate these things. And I was also contemplating things like, what is truth? Because I had some experiences as a child, and you can actually see that being activated in my astrological chart. So that's interesting that I can tie them together. So, oh, that happened. Yeah, that's when that happened. And then, oh, that happened. So you can like see activations. It depends on how you read the chart, but certain things you can become evident. That's, oh, yeah, that's when that happened. And that's, oh, interesting. So that is one thing. But then I started meditating when I was 12. I was exposed to Buddhism through my mother. I went to India, Sri Lanka first when I was 13, I think. And we visited a lot of like temples and things like that. And together with my mother's Buddhist teacher, Sister Amita. So it's been there all the time, like different facets and aspects of spirituality, but I never like bought into this is how it is. I was always questioning what's actually going on here.
Okay, so your mom was Buddhist, and you went to a Catholic or Christian school, or?
No, it's not that simple. It's that my mother, she was not a Buddhist then. This is when I was very small. I was 6 years old then. And then when I was 12, I was exposed to Buddhism. But then we had moved home back to Sweden from Italy.
Okay. Oh yeah. So a lot has happened.
A lot has happened. Yeah, in between there. But then later on, while I was like going on my own journey, I came to a point, I cannot say exactly when, but that I used to say these days that your body is your spiritual vehicle. And it's your spiritual vehicle because your soul decided to have a physical experience, which means that the soul is really dependent on the body. So when people talk about, the body is not important, only your spiritual life, no. Because if it wasn't important, your soul wouldn't have decided that this is the most important thing to do right now. So your body is the spiritual vehicle, and this is also a place where I'm different when it comes to, I do not see that the soul lives in the body. I see the body as living in the soul. So the soul is something much bigger, and the body is like in that environment. Well, most of the time people talk about like the body is something, and then the soul is in there. I think it's the opposite way around. So when I was teaching at the Royal College of Music in Stockholm, I would say that to my students as singers, that you're singing with your body, but your soul is actually being exposed and brought into the world with your body, but it's not like an experience of the soul coming out. It's like channeling what you have around you through your voice or musical expression. I didn't only have singers. So that is one part of that. And then I have through the years, I have been like looking into me and others, and fairly recently, like only a few years ago, I realized that I'm actually psychic. I've been that always, ever since I was a child, but I didn't put like the label on it. But that's what it is, and because I can feel things, and as a child I would get like information from people that were just passing by on the bus, and
Okay.
it's like I learned to turn that down. So I have that turned down just about all of the time. But it's not only that I get information from the person that I'm with if I turn it on, but I also can get information about other people around you. So if you talk about a colleague or your boss or your father, I will get information about them
Okay.
and what's actually going on with them. And I can get information generations back.
Oh, wow.
That's just the way it is.
But I love that. Yes, I love that. So as a child, were you frightened by it? Or did you think that everybody was like that? And when did you reactivate? When did you decide to reactivate that gift, that talent?
I don't know. I didn't really reactivate it or activate it or so. It was there, and then I just realized, and I can't put any numbers or years on this. I was this age or that age. It's just that it got disturbing. So I had to learn to like close that down, and then learn also how to, when should I open it up and when should I close it down. I can also say that my mother, she's an author, but she was also a professional tarot reader. So when we lived in Italy, that was when I first was exposed to tarot cards. And when I didn't do anything with it, but they were there. So there have been many aspects of like the spiritual realm, because for me, tarot is part of that. And also would say when it comes to religion and to Catholicism, that I don't like religion at all, any of them, because they're dogmatic and they many times will hinder you to find your own core, to find the soul in which you're living. And it doesn't matter whom, where, what. Very rarely do I find that people that are deep into, or that like have like a religious, some people might be really offended by this now, but this is how I see it. That if you have like deep into like Christianity or Buddhism or Hinduism or whatever, is that you cut off. Because someone else is telling you how it is. Someone else is supposed to be your spiritual vehicle, like an imam or a priest, and especially if it's a man. That, in every religion, the woman has no say. And also as a child, already there, it was like, this is weird. What is this thing about boys being more important than girls? I just couldn't get it. So yeah, I've been very on my own journey with that, and questioning, and just not buying the explanations or why, and I can also be like flabbergasted and fascinated by how sure people are about something. I'm not going to tell you that your body lives in the soul. This is my perception. Yours might be very different, but a lot of the time people will say, this is how it is. How do you know? Have you ever been there? Like, you get, 1,000 virgins, blah, blah, blah. So why do you want a virgin? They're not very experienced. It's like,
Oh my God, that's for another TED Talk, yeah.
So very, very early in life, I exposed a different attitude towards
religion,
spirituality, the divine, the source, call it whatever. And also early started to talk about first as like the goddess, and there was like, it's something weird, we don't say the god, we say God, and then we'll say the goddess. It's like, oh. So but now I have moved into I call that force, that power, that, call it whatever you want to call it, source or dea.
Source or?
Dea. In Italian, you say Dio, il
Okay.
Dio, the God or God.
Yeah.
And the feminine version of that is Dea,
Okay.
la Dea, the
Yeah.
goddess.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, but source or universe works fine with me too. I use them all.
Yeah. I'm more on a universe type of terminology myself as well. Yeah, I got to admit. Yes, even though with the years I somehow reconcile with also like the religious aspect, because I went through a phase that was very anti-religious. I went and I grew up. That's interesting. I grew up in a family where there was no religion at all, and but we went to a school where there was catechism. So I actually discovered religious education at 6 years old, and it was very weird to have that experience of a different teacher coming into the classroom to talk to us about this, this person, Jesus, and we had a different book, and all the other kids seemed to know what it was about, and I had no idea. I was like, what is this? So I realized that it was like learning a subject in school, like and so with the of course, when everybody wanted to do they all did their communion, so as a kid I wanted to do the same. So eventually you go onto that path, but I never, and I think it's might have to do with when you grew up possibly in an environment before the age of 6, you're more influenceable. Your mind is like a sponge, and I didn't
the brain waves work differently.
Yeah, so I didn't sponge any religious brain waves before 6 or 7 years of age. So it was all something that I had to learn with my conscious mind. And so I did never find the spark that went with it. And so eventually I went back like 180 degrees and like totally went against all of this. So now I'm much more open and tolerant. And because I had obviously thrown away everything spiritual at the same time as religious. Everything had gone into the same bin. So now obviously, I've gone a long way, but I can absolutely relate, and I relate a lot more to the metaphysical, and spirituality based, anchored in physics, science as well, because I think there is a science of spirituality. So I'm more with you on that one, and I think astrology is probably an interesting bridge between science and spirituality, possibly. Yeah. So anyway, sorry for the the apartheid here, but
oh, great. I mean, this is a conversation. Absolutely. Well, I think I lost something before that is when I was going to say that people that are very much into religion is that I've met very few religious people that are actually spiritual because it's so dogmatic.
Yeah.
And for me, and that's why I say I might offend some people. That is for me a big difference, to be religious and go with the word and have this other person be your speaker or whatever. It's not the same thing as having your own experience and be grounded in your own spiritual self.
Yes, I agree with that. But with the years, there is something that I opened up to about religion, that I'm wondering that when we are going is as an individual, we maybe care to look at maybe the text themselves without an intermediate, and have like a very different reading of it, that we might find like there's things there that are also interesting and valuable, but it's the yeah, like you say, like this is having to hand over the decision making, or you said
the interpretation.
Exactly, the interpretation to one person, to an institution somehow.
Yeah. And that's where it becomes problematic for me. That it's fine, read whatever scriptures you want to read, but make it your own. Trust that you actually know how to interpret or feel or use it in your life.
Yeah.
And that is what I mean by being a spiritual person within a religion.
Yeah.
So it's not I'm saying no to that. I'm saying no to handing your power, your spiritual power, over to the priest or the imam or the pope or the Brahmin, whatever they call it. So that they are supposed to tell you what is right or wrong for you. They are supposed to tell you what kind of person is a clean, pure, and good person and will get to heaven or hell, because we don't even know if heaven and hell exists.
There's so many
interpretations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many, so varied. There's so many interpretations that we can have. I think it's the part of the journey through life is to maybe embrace something for a while, and maybe a new information comes along. It's like, oh my God, that's interesting too. That changes my perspective.
Yeah.
And maybe, so I think that's all this evolution that's interesting as well, that might be taken away from us if we are like, stuck into one single box.
Yes.
But like, speaking of boxes, yes, I'm using that as a transition. Speaking of boxes, and career boxes, sounds like you've never, that's one thing that you have not taken on. It's like, yeah, you just had also a very free-flowing journey. So would you mind telling us a little bit about your professional path?
Yeah, sure. In a way, it has been following, also, like, if I call it like the free flow of my spiritual journey, that don't tell me what to do or where to go.
Oh yeah, I think we got that by now. This is like, you don't have to know what to do or what to think. Yeah.
So they are very much connected. And when I was 16 years old, I was really tired of school. I wanted to go to Paris and be an au pair, but I did some work first in this particular place, which was an old people's home. And I got an employment but after 6 months, it was like, I cannot do this. I cannot have people tell me when to come, what to do. So I resigned from that, and people were like, "Oh, you can't resign, from a position." I mean, I was 16, but it was still, I had a fixed income and every month, and I was like, but I can't do it. But I still worked there. So my salary was sort of like going down, but actually it was going up because I worked more, and I could pick when to work.
Okay.
I could say, can you come in on Sunday? And I could say, yes, I can come in on Sunday at 10, not at 5, or 7. We are missing people for the night shift. Could you come in? This is when I was older.
Yeah.
You can do that when you can work night shifts when you're 16. But when I was 18, it was like, can you do that? And I could say, yeah, I can work the night shift. And when you work the night shift, you get more money. So I could be more flexible, both in what department I was working. I can move around in different departments in this place. And I also worked a lot in hospitals as a nurse's aide and a child, whatever that is in English. Whatever.
I don't know.
But so that is where it started. I realized I cannot be an employee. I have to be on. Then I went to New York and I studied there at Pratt Institute School of Fine Arts. So I studied theater. Came home and started a dance company. And I ran a dance company for 6 years. Okay, so here we have a little thing that I have not been talking about, and that is I was born with a disability.
You were born in disability?
Yeah, so I was born with club feet. And club feet means that your Achilles tendon is too short and the feet are like turned in. And if it's really severe, and they just continue to grow like this, and you will not be able to walk. So I had a lot of surgery as a child, so that was also like an experience. But then I became a professional dancer. So we're not going to go into that, but it's like, yeah, odd.
Well, a testament to the power of intention and, willpower.
Yeah, intention, willpower, or compensation. I have a lot to say about that. And I also have a lot to say about all these, you see these people, you know, in the wheelchairs or whatever, and they're climbing mountains with the wheelchair. And it's like, yeah, but I don't like those. I don't think they are empowering. I
Okay.
find them, it's very easy if you are like abled
Yes.
to feel discouraged. This
Oh,
person is in a wheelchair and is climbing mountains, and here I am with everything, and I'm still miserable.
yeah.
I think it's guilt invoking.
Uh-huh.
And I, who did all of this, who really worked against all my odds and became a professional dancer, still can feel like, did I do enough when I see those? And that is why I say, so how do you feel if you are completely able and you see these incredible people? And it took a very long time before I realized I belong to this crowd of very incredible people who did that, who did the impossible. And I don't feel empowered when I see these little clips or whatever. So I'm against them.
Okay.
I've never heard anyone say that before, but as I said before, I have this hashtag on LinkedIn, unexpected perspectives. I very, very, very frequently come from a position where people say, what? So
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way. And I've heard that all of my life. I never thought of it that way. So
But
I have,
in a sense, we wouldn't want, these people, people accomplishing amazing things. I wouldn't want to take away from them the joy of sharing their life,
no.
story, and yeah.
No, that's not the point. The point is when it becomes a burden for someone who is not
Yeah.
disabled or have gone through horrible things in life, that it can be disempowering.
Get you.
And I think it's important to realize that they are not empowering for everybody. People feel guilt. They feel shame because they haven't done what they're supposed to be able to do when they have 2 arms and 2 feet and 2 legs and 2 eyes and 2 ears and everything working perfectly. And still, they are not super successful and all of those things. So that is why I feel like I think we should be careful with that, because people are vulnerable in so many ways.
Yeah.
You can like easily turn it onto themselves as if they're not good enough.
Yeah. No, I can see that. And also maybe it's a question of perspective, and I want to believe that it's meant to be inspiring. And if, like, if a person who is disabled can do it, but there is hope for everyone else, rather than, but I can see, I see your point. I can see your point, because I'm part of the able population who has maybe not risen to their potential. So very much I can see where you're coming from. Yeah.
And we don't know what the potential is, because there's also this thing, okay, now I'm gonna like bust another one, this thing that you can reach your highest potential, your full potential. Well, I don't think that's possible. Because I think that when we reach the full potential or highest potential, whatever it is here as a human being, we will just disintegrate in little light particles and disappear.
Oh yeah.
We wouldn't
Yeah.
be.
Yes.
So reaching the highest potential is not about how much money you earn or how famous you are or becoming a dancer when you win with club feet. That's not the highest potential. It's something else. And this is like also like a very spiritual thing for me. What is the highest potential for whom? Because it's very different from you than it is for me. But I think what binds us together when it comes to spiritual potential or like a highest potential is the spiritual aspect of disintegrating. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we are disintegrating and that we're done. It just means that we will move into another capacity of evolvement.
Yes. Yeah. So
that the soul in which we live is like, okay, I'm done with this one now. Thank you. I'm moving on to other pastures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that was the dancer part, and then I came to a very a halt in that.
Yeah.
And I realized that actually I'm a musician. Dance is music. Dancing body is expressing music and is expressing vibration. And long story short, I turned to opera. And at the same time as I also turned to Gestalt therapy. There's so many stories under here that I'm not telling. So for some people, if it feels for some people like that was a big jump, it's been going on for many, many years, this big jump. I was interested already in school that psychology should it be psychologist, should it be medical doctor, perhaps. I don't know. So, and this interest in truth and what is truth and how does truth change and what is truth for me and for you and what is truth in the next situation. I mean, all these things, they were always there. And in theater and in the art of performing in front of people, you really have to get into yourself and find not only like your truth, but your character's truth, which can be something very different from my personal truth. And then there you'll have to like dig into where can I find that kind of truth or expression in me? How much do I actually carry around? How much do I try to push away? That is actually me. So it's very close to psychology and these things. So finally, I had my first Saturn return, which is a astro lingo thing. That is when the planet Saturn returns to the same place it was when you were born. And that is a pivotal moment in just about everyone's life. Somewhere between 27 and 30, this happens. And I'm pretty sure that anyone who's listening to this can like look back into their 27 to 30 and say, yeah, that's when I started this, that's when I stopped this, that's when I got children, got married, moved to another country, Something happens there that pivots. And so things pivoted for me. And because we have also symbolic timing, it can coincide with with the symbolic timing, so it can be more or less intense. It also depends on how your chart is structured, how your roadmap is structured, and the transits around going on. So it can be more or less intense, but something happens there that pivots, and that something also happens with the frontal cortex on your brain in that time. So you are.
So when you pivoted, is that when you started to lean onto astrology and becoming an astrologer, or is there some more steps in between?
That was in my second Saturn return.
Oh, we got many. Oh, okay. We got more than one. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So this is just the first one. And then I pivoted into opera and Gestalt therapy. So I went and did those two at the same time.
Do you mind for those of us who are not familiar with the subtleties, like to let us know what's the difference between Gestalt therapy and maybe like other types of similar therapies or psychology?
Sure. I'm going to try to be short. For me, Gestalt therapy has a lot to do with like being in the here and the now, and accepting what is here now. So we don't. All therapists, all Gestalt therapists work differently, but there is some kind of like starting point which is here and now, and then we might go back into something that is going on. That was going on. Eventually will happen. We will end up in childhood. But that we don't analyze it in that way. It's not analytical. It's not brainy. It's not up here. It's in the body. You work with your body. Where in your body do you feel that? And how is your presence with that? And it's also very important as a therapist to be present with your client. And you can only be really present with your client if you're present with yourself. You've got to come home as much as possible. That's when you can meet somebody as an I and thou. So the I and thou is very important. It's not a we, it's you and me. And when I have my own me more or less structured and I have a center, then I can move around in the world. But without a center, without being centered in myself, I will just move around and be captured what's going on there and try to satisfy the world out there. And most of us have been there, more or less in life, and most people are actually still there. But so for me, that is one of the basic things of Gestalt therapy, is that you have to finish off your own gestalts. The Gestalt is an unfinished business, something you didn't say to your mother when she was beating your little brother, and you actually wanted to say to your mother, get the F out of here and leave my brother alone. But you didn't say that because you were only 8 years old. So, but then when you grow up with this inner memory trauma, and you try to hold, and then you come to a point where you really have to say that.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that you're going to say it to your mother. She might be gone even. But there's a technique that is called the hot seat. Mm-hmm. And today you talk a lot about, you're hot seating people, but the hot seat is when you move back and forth in the seat. So this is me. And then I move over and I become my mother. Mm-hmm. And my mother will talk. And then I go back and I say what I have to say to my mother, and then she will explain it. And then perhaps I will have to like get my brother in there too. And so you, everything that you have internalized, mm-hmm. you put out into the open. Yeah. Yeah, that's one important technique that you can use, and some of the like philosophy behind it that are important for me. Mm-hmm. I hope that makes it slightly clearer.
Yeah, no, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I had that conception that somehow Gestalt was in relation to movement.
No, it's absolutely therapy, and I worked a lot. I mean, that was my forte with trauma, sexual abuse, abuse in general, spiritual abuse, but a lot of sexual abuse and incest. And don't ask me why, because I don't have that with myself. I'm not going to go into why, but it was easy for me. It's not easy, but I had a talent for that. So I got that kind of clients right away, straight out of, it's a 4-year education. So straight out of the 4 years, and it was like, they were just all there. That was all I had. So people that had gone through these horrible childhoods, and that had been on drugs, and that had been alcoholics, and blah, 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 blah. So, and it was like, yeah, this is my thing.
So it's not like perfect alignment.
What?
It sounds like perfect alignment.
Yeah.
When like you're entering a phase and everything's lined up, because that's exactly it's like being in the right place at the right time somehow.
Yeah. Both for me and for my clients. And through the years, because now I've been doing this for 30 years, through the years, it has also been that people have been to many places and really tried to solve their inner turmoil. And frequently I have been able to help them. And now, because I know astrology, I also know, I can see in my chart where this talent, or whatever you want to call it, comes from.
Okay.
And the first time I had an astrology reading, the astrologer he said, "You so get people. You so get people. You really get people." And he was like, so and I thought, yeah, I understand that now. When I look at my own chart, I see this is why. This is why. So you can see so much in your chart about what you have, and sometimes you might have denied certain things that you don't want to see about yourself, and when they get opened up with the help of an astrologer, things go up, they fall into place. Oh, I see, right. And perhaps they will not even go in a direction where they have tried not to go because it was not supposed to be the right thing or something. And then I have this the Gestalt therapy, and then the opera, and I have been singing professionally. And I have done roles, and I have been touring and professionally as a singer and been an opera and a Gestalt therapist at the same time. So I did that for 30 years, those two together. And then I had my second Saturn return. And in the meantime, I was teaching and speaking and blah, 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 and all that. And then I had my second Saturn return recently, a few years ago. And that is when it coincided with COVID. Okay. And that is when my second pivot came.
So
And now I'm an
and
astrologer.
that's when the astrology came into your
Yeah, it came. You're absolutely right. It came back because I had an interest before, but I had to choose when I was there in my 20s. I had to choose how much can I do. So, okay, I'm running a company. I'm doing this, da da da. So I'm doing. I did Aikido. I really had to like make up, kind of play the flute. No, you put the flute away. So all these things that I wanted to do, it's like, Stella, you cannot. And I also read, every year in the world, 600,000 books are published or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, I will not be able to read all of those.
the grief, right?
What is it?
The grief when you realize, oh, that I won't be able. I won't.
Yeah, it was grief. It was grief.
Yeah.
When I realized that I will absolutely not be able to do all of those things that I'm interested in and that I almost feel a calling to.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. That's how I ran into, or astrology ran into me, because one of these old, fantastic astrologers, he said, that I followed online, he said, astrology, you don't choose astrology. Astrology chooses you. And I cried. I started to cry because that's exactly what happened for me. Because I was looking into all kinds of things on YouTube that had to do with personal development, and I found human design, and I was looking into tarot cards, and I mean the tarot cards I already had. I had been working with those for like 30 years, but there was so many things I should have. And suddenly astrology started to show up, there on the right side, and it's like, but I'm not. Why do you show me? I'm not doing astrology. What's your problem? And it was like getting more and more intense. And after a while, it was like, do you want something? Should I click? What do you want?
Astrology is like knocking on the door.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
yeah.
Totally banging on the door. And I was like, okay, so I was thinking, okay, so I have Pisces, a Pisces ascendant. That is what and I was looking at some of those videos, and I was like, nothing of this rings true. And then I realized I have all my medical records from all kinds of places. So that I'm going to look there and see, do I really have the right birth time?
Oh, okay.
And I did, and I didn't. So I did go to look, but I did not have the right birth time. And when I then calculated my chart online that you can do for free, I had Capricorn as my ascendant. And let me tell you, I checked the box.
Ah, okay. So you needed that little proof of concept, or I don't know how to call it. It's like that little hiccups that gave you like an absolute certainty that, oh my God, that makes
So,
sense.
and then I was just sucked into it, and I was still having clients in coaching and therapy. So one of my therapy clients, she had a pause with me to go out and like check out life, and then she was coming back, and I said, yeah, it was like, welcome back, blah blah blah. And so we were talking a little about what has been going on since then. I said, yeah, I have been looking into astrology. Not that I have, I'm going to be an astrologer, but and as soon as I had said that, it was like, yes, you are.
Oh.
I was unprepared, but I started to work with the astrology even before I got into like actual training, because I was going online, and every day, every single day, I listened to YouTube's enormous resources of astrology, and different schools and different types, and there were certain things that were like early for me. Very early, I got in contact with harmonic aspects, and I also got in contact with asteroids. And I felt a pull right away. I want to go, this is something that I really want to know more about. But then when I was trying to turn it into like a chart reading, it was impossible. But I could use it with my clients. So I started to use it right away, just about, after a couple of months. It was like, do you know when you're born? And then we could like check things out, and I could like ask questions and stuff. But then Heather Eland started her, it's called the Cosmic Academy of Astrology. And I had been following her for a while, and I liked her, and it was like, I think this is it. I think so. And I had already bought a couple of classes with her. So I went in to look at it. I had no intention to buy it, to buy the whole thing. So I just went in to look at it, and then I clicked on something. And because I had already bought something from her, it automatically said, yes, thank you for your purchase. And I was like, I don't have this money. I can't do this. And there was like, Stella, calm down. Calm.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to do this?
Yeah.
And the answer was, yeah. Why are you so stubborn?
Yes.
So, yeah, sorry.
What else do you need?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so my last money, but what about rent? Yeah, we'll forget about rent.
Oh, that's such a good story. It's like when it's nearly like there's no choice there. It's like you got to go.
Yeah.
And so what, because I'm, and already a little bit with what you've shared, so we get a feel that astrology, because astrology can easily be reduced, to the stuff that we see in the magazines, and like, okay, next month this or this is going to happen. And so I can see how many people might dismiss it as like a woohoo or whatever, or like not serious. But from talking with you, really get that sense that it's not about knowing the future, it's about understanding who we are, our talents, and it's about possibly knowing having an awareness of a timeline that can support our life decision. But it's
That's
not
a very good way to put it. Yeah,
Mm.
awareness of a timeline, because there is a timeline. And we also, everything in life, everything on this planet, everything that we know of moves in cycles.
Yeah.
And so do we. So there are different cycles that are moving in our charts simultaneously. And when you get more information and understand that better, you can actually make better decisions about your future. Just as this, I don't even remember, I've been talking so much. Did I tell you about my horrible experience about my finances? No, I didn't.
Go ahead.
Yeah, where astrology, to put it frankly, saved my ass.
Yeah.
So this was in the beginning of my studies. I wasn't even, not even a year in. And I could see that I have a Uranus square, and a square means that you come to a point of a kind of crisis point.
Okay.
And I could see that this square was, when I looked into the houses, it was like, ooh, this could be really bad for my finances. This could be a wake up, this could be horrible. And I had a financial bureau, the accountant for my firm, that was not good.
Yeah.
And I felt unhappy with them. And then I just realized, Stella, you've got to change now. You cannot wait, because this could happen any moment. You got to do that now. So I went out on a search to find another bureau, and I did find another bureau. And we were talking about what we were going to do. So, and it was like, perhaps not hours, but like days, perhaps a week, maybe 2. I don't remember. And then it came where the tax something, whatever that is called in English, it suddenly showed up and said, hey, we want $9,000. Like,
Yeah.
because they had not been doing what they were supposed to do. And I knew it, because I'm not into finances. That's not my thing. I just knew something was wrong. I could just feel that this is not good. And when I saw in my chart, you're right, something is wrong. Just go fix. So it was still a great challenge, but she was fantastic, the woman who helped me out. And so I saved money from that. And I realized that seeing that a challenge is on its way up makes it possible to mitigate. To put things in, okay, I can act before. It doesn't mean that the challenge would disappear. This was totally clear for me. This is going to happen. But it doesn't have to be that bad. Because if you don't know, if you're completely unaware, it would have just smacked me in the back of my head, and I would have lost my home for
Oh
sure,
God, yeah.
because
Yeah.
it was that much money. And I had to pay them, of course, but still I could, like, in different ways. And she would like talk to them and make sure that everything was right. And she could like pull down the price tag and make calculations. She was fantastic. I'm just so grateful to her and to astrology.
Yeah. So it's not that it warned you of something specific, but you knew that something was bound to happen in the financial area. So it allowed you to take
Yes.
preemptive, we said that preemptive
Yes.
action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in a way it helps to prepare for the future. It's not,
Yes.
doesn't tell us exactly what's going to happen, but we have we having a little bit of an insight as to maybe some tendencies. Could it be like because I heard you talking earlier, like when we had a little chat before, but sometimes, you know, you might know that, oh, this is a time to unwind before, and that you will know that in the such period of time will be a time for to start something else. So can you tell us a little bit about that, how astrology can help us in that way?
Right. So you have your chart, and your chart is always going to be your chart.
Yeah.
And at the same time, around that chart, you can calculate and see where you are. If we talk about something, okay, astrolingo again, I'm apologizing.
Yes.
But we have like something that is called secondary progressions. And there you can see where you're in your internal process, where you are like personally, where you're like evolving, where you are. And me personally right now, I'm in a balsamic phase. And that means that something is finishing off. I'm finishing off certain things. And it's so evident. I'm not going to be a Gestalt therapist anymore. I've stopped doing therapy. Certain of the relationships have like gone out. So my mother moved from the where she has been living for 53 years to an old people's home. So things are like changing and like closing down. And at the same time, of course, when something's closing down, things open up. But the phase I'm in is a closing down phase. Things are shifting. And when I saw that, it was like, all right. So I could feel like more relaxed and not. A lot of times when you're losing something, you could feel like panic. Two very, very close people in my life, I could see that, okay, this is happening here, and it's happening in this house and this side. Some people are leaving. I don't know who they are, but people are gonna leave. And they did. And because I knew that some people were gonna, it's sad, but still, it was like I could just let them go. I could allow them to go. Instead of, I have to say this, which is like easy if like people have been closer for a long time, but I could just allow this. This was a phase and it's over. So that was a transit. And the transit is the planets, how they move around right now. So that together with this secondary progression, this symbolic timing, when I saw those two together, it was like, yes, it is time. Let it go.
So
And that creates a kind of peace.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's fun, but you don't have to resist. And when you're not resisting, it will not persist. Yeah. Because what you resist persists. Yeah. It stays there. And when you're resisting something and you keep it on there, it also creates resentment, and it creates resentment towards yourself. And then you're in a vicious cycle. And that is like a vicious cycle with yourself, not with the planets. But when you can get help and support from the planets in how to handle things, that makes it much easier. What happened a couple of years later was that I was in this very, very challenging financial situation for several years. It was going on for several years. And then I could see that, okay, here we have another technique. That is, every time you have your birthday, your sun will place itself in a certain house. So that will create a certain energy for that year. And also I worked with, so I have two different techniques here. So those two techniques, they will give a certain air to this particular year. And when I looked at that, I said, okay, so part of me is moving back out away from the world.
Mhm.
And I didn't know what that was going to be. I didn't know that it was going to turn out to be burnout. I stepped out of LinkedIn for 8 months and I didn't show my face. I did not go networking. I did not meet friends. I didn't do anything. I was sitting home crying, more or less. It's like just being there. And but what I saw, and this is another place where I really feel like astrology saved my ass. What I could see is that it will change in Mars 2023.
Mm.
So I could like hold on, like grab onto what I had, and just stick with it, Stella. It's lonely, it's sad, it's horrible in so many ways, and people are leaving, and you know, all of these things. And at the same time, I could feel good about being true in that truth that I have been talking about. So in my own truth of this is lonely and challenging and so on. But there is a light on the other side. There is a cycle is never, I mean, it has to stop. It will stop. So I said, when is it going to end? And I saw that it was going to end in Mars in 2023, and it did. And it was like, it was almost like this.
Wow.
Because so many planets were moving at the same time and into new places. So from my home environment to my fun, joy, creative experiences environment, it was like, okay.
So it's a true awareness of the cycles that we are entering into. So it's interesting because especially I find now in this day and age where there is a lot of uncertainty. I mean, uncertainty is part of life, and we say we need to get comfortable with uncertainty in a way, like in our lives. But this actually somehow seems to lift a little bit of that uncertainty.
I would say yes. In a way, it lifts. How should I explain them? Okay, let me put it this way. I think it helps you to cope when you need to cope.
Okay, get you. Mm-hmm.
And that it can give you a time frame. And sometimes the time frame is long. Because this my first astrologer, the one who said that I still get people, he also said, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna continue for a while.
Yeah.
But that was also good to know that I was in for the long haul. So even though I was already exhausted, it was something because I mean, you can say things in different ways, and he said it in a good way. That it was not going to be easy peasy,
Mm-hmm.
but that I had certain resources, like my capacity to deal with people and how I could use that. Now, he was not a therapist or a coach. So one of my strengths as an astrologer is that I have 30 years of experience of working with people in trauma and crisis. And I also have 30 years, or actually since I was 4, because I was on stage the first time when I was 4, I also have all this intense and professional experience of being on stage, of public speaking, looking into the camera, being in front of people, in front of all these things is something that you get at the same time. You get that. If you come to me as an astrologer, you get that too.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very big package, and depending on what your needs are.
Yeah, but there's one question as you were explaining that. Like, I wonder, would I want to know or would I not want to know that let's say I'm about to enter like, you know, a phase that's gonna be a little bit gloomy for quite a while. I'm like, do I want to know or do I not?
No, the thing is that that is why I had that was my question.
Mm-hmm.
So you come with your questions.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go into any place. I mean, because we could like deal, if we were looking into your chart, we can deal with your chart forever. It's like, I have been like looking into my chart for 4 years now, like this. And I still discover new things. And one of my mentors, he's been doing astrology for 50 years. And he said, I still discover new things in my chart.
Yeah.
So it's really a question of what question what is important for you right now, where you're coming from. And that's where I was coming from, because I told him, I don't know what to do. I am so tired, and I just need to know, how can I cope with this? And is there an answer in astrology? Because I've done all the things, I've done the affirmations and the therapy and the inner work and the child work and the everything. I've done so many things. I'm an avatar master. I've done like the advanced work with the Arn and the Ben and the light body. I mean, it's like all over the place, and still I wasn't and it never ended. And I really needed to know, okay, how long is this going to go on?
Yeah.
Can you answer? And that is why we dove into that. It's not because he was saying, I'm going to give you the doom and gloom. So it really has to do with what kind of questions you have and what is important for you, and also how much can you handle in one sitting.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of information, and this is also my experience with people, that it takes about an hour. I don't work in minutes, most people work in like 60 minutes or 30 minutes, or I don't work like that at all. I stopped that many years ago. I work organically to see where we are, because there is every session has its own organic flow, and we know this is it for today. And sometimes my absolute shortest session that I ever had was 20 minutes, and I didn't stop it. It was the client.
Yeah.
She said, I'm done. I said, what? No, this was such a big thing, and I really had to like just transport myself into this other whatever is going on, and think and feel, and yeah, I'm done for today, thank you. And I said, okay, fine. Because I do not, so to speak, I don't sell time, I sell transformation.
Yes.
And that doesn't matter if it's astrology, or if it's singing, or if it's therapy, coaching, whatever. It's about the transformation, that you get to transform you in your pace, and with what you bring up and bring to the table. Yeah. That's not up to me. What's up to me is, how can I guide you? Mm-hmm. But the work is up to you. It's always up to the client. And if the client doesn't want to do the work, I can't help.
No, but yeah, of course, yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
So, learn the hard way.
Yeah, okay.
And so are you coming up with something specific, for the new year? Is there some specific offerings that you have that coming into 2024 that you would like people to know about?
Absolutely, I do. Because I am a fairly new astrologer, I have there's something I have not done before, which is VIP days, and I'm working on a VIP offering that I will now beta test with 3 people. It's not free; you still have to pay, but it's not going to be the same amount. So, if you want to know about the cycle that is coming up and where you are, both as a person privately, but also as a business owner. Because there is a business persona. So you have your own personal journey, but you also have a business persona. There are money houses. We have 4 money houses. There are work houses, 3 houses. So I see how they are set. And what is good about that with a VIP day is that you can take all that information in one blow, so to speak. You don't have to like wait. I mean, you can work like 3 months or a year, maybe. I have different programs, but this thing is like, it's new. So if you're interested, the best way to get in contact with me really is through LinkedIn. I don't have what you're supposed to have, a list. I had that before, but because I'm in the closing down phase, I have closed that down. So I don't have a list right now, and I don't have a lead magnet. I know what it's going to be about, but I really had to like contemplate and like find out, what is my astrological lead magnet going to be about? And then I've had to get the information and see what, and tweak a little. So, and now I have to find what is going to be my my provider for my internet. So for my emailing. So there are like so many things that are like going down. But just because I know I'm in this phase, I don't feel panic. I did feel panic for a while. And so, Stella, no. This is where you're at. This is your natural cycle, right?
I love that. Yeah. What? To all the business owners out, like entrepreneurs out there, like to know that, you know, when we're starting to, oh my God, I don't have that enough ready for this, and to know that actually, hold on a second, it's normal, that it's a normal phase to be in, and that's the phase that you're dismantling the old before going into the new. Relax.
Yes. Yeah, it gives such relief in so many ways. But you can also see this time of the year would be a good year for you to actually, like in May, I'm just making things up here. Like in May, it would be a good thing for you if you want to start a new class, a new data, a new education training, or if you want to give something out to the world and launch something. May this week that could be good. So you can also look at that, and when is your energy like more up? And when is it more down over the year, because it will change with the cycles, and there's so many different cycles and we don't know how they affect you. But in this, because what we will do is first go through your chart. If you have never worked with me before, we go through your chart, and that will take about an hour or an hour and a half. And then you will have a little homework, and then we'll come back after a little while, and then we'll check out the first quarter. No, we have 4 quarters, right? No, 4 months at a time.
Yes.
I don't know what that is called. So 4 months. So, and then we'll have like, so there will be 4 sessions in one day.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, you're going to be absolutely full of energy and excitement and exhausted at the same time when we're done.
Yeah, that sounds good. But I love that idea of having those insights, so that we might not be exerting so much energy into something that it's not the right moment for, because that can bring so much angst.
Exactly.
And beating ourselves up is like working so hard at trying to get something off the ground, and it's not working. What's wrong with me? When actually that's not the right time, you know, like in 6 months time is going to be perfect to invest all of this. How valuable is it as an information? And you know what, I remember when I was younger in France, I grew up in France, but we knew that there was a very famous astrologer, and we knew that she was the astrologer of the Président de la République, of the, you know, the president, you know. So we knew, like, you know, politicians, they had their astrologers, and that makes sense. Knowing, you know, now having a discussion with you and seeing what it brings, and it's not this simple little predictions at the end of you know, of magazines. It's totally different. Like the dimension is
totally different. But what I would say, if you read magazines, or if you will subscribe to my newsletter on LinkedIn that I will start now, and I will do little blurbs for every sign, is that read your ascendant sign. Listen to your ascendant sign. And if you don't have that and don't know what it is, contact me on LinkedIn. Tell me that you listen to this to this podcast, because I don't say yes to everyone. And I can, and if you have your exact time to the minute, no guessing. No, my mother thinks, no, because she was very busy with other things than looking at the clock when you were born. So so make sure you have the exact time, and then I can make a calculation so you can get the image. It's not a reading, but you're absolutely welcome to contact me, and I can provide you with something that will show you where your ascendant is. And if you, like myself, my ascendant is a Capricorn. So when I read and look at stuff, I do not read Gemini, because I am a Gemini. I read Capricorn.
That's interesting. That's very generous. Thank you so much, Stella. So I'll make sure anyway, everyone will have the link to the video and to your LinkedIn and everything that you're, you know, that you want to be shared. So like everyone listening, don't worry, you'll have all the links to click on, that's for sure. And so Stella, I know we're probably nearly a little bit over time. I don't want to abuse of your time either, but so is there anything that I haven't asked you, or that you would like to address, or anything that you want to leave our audience with before we finish this this session?
Yes, there is something that I usually say, and that I still feel, even though I'm like into astrology, and that's where I'm going, I still want to say this. And for me, it's always a little touching, and that is, there's nothing wrong with you. Whatever has been going on in your life, whatever is going on right now, whatever you have done to survive is your survival mechanism. And I want to put emphasis on this one, which is something I have learned through my work with all my super abused, fantastic teachers, which are my clients. There is no such thing as self-destructive behavior. It doesn't exist. Everything you do and everything you say is to survive, even if it appears to be self-destructive, even if it is drugs or alcohol or you're a shopaholic. It's because you're trying to survive something and you have not reached what that is, but it's a message from yourself that something is wrong and I'm just trying to cope. It's a coping mechanism. That's what I want to say.
So we're whole, we don't need to blame ourselves even more.
No.
I love that. Yes, it resonates, Stella. It very much resonates.
Thank you. That makes me, that warms my heart.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Stella. Thank you again for your time and all your insights and sharing so openly about, even the unexpected perspectives. Yes, I love them. And to everyone else, thank you so much for listening to us up until the end. And I wish you a great week. And I shall see you next week for another career and spirituality conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.